Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Grief Drums, and in today's video, we are taking a look at none other than Operation Shadow Legacy. So for those of you that have been living under a rock, Operation Shadow Legacy is the brand new season that is coming for Year 5 Season 3, and oh my god, I cannot believe just how much this has got in it. Now, if you haven't been lucky enough to see this year's roadmap, unfortunately, we're only going to be getting one operator this season. However, we are still getting a rework, and we are getting a whole host of new changes that are going to completely redefine the way that we play Siege. So for today's video, we're going to be going over many of the changes. There may be a few in there that I just very slightly touch upon because I'm going to make other videos about this topic. So if I don't cover everything that you want to know about this specific topic, keep an eye out on the channel because there may very well be a video coming about that specific item. Now, very quickly before we get into the weeds of all of this, if you don't already know, I stream over on Twitch on Thursdays, Saturdays and Sundays from 8 PM BST, and you can also go ahead and follow me on Twitter to keep up to date with everything that's going on. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight into it. Now, as I said just there, we are only getting one operator this season. However, oh my god, what an operator it is. It is none other than Sam Fisher, the iconic star of the Splinter Cell series. Growing up, I was a huge fan of Splinter Cell, so to be able to see this character in-game in Siege, the game that I love so much, is just huge. It is mind-blowing to me. And I'll be honest, when I first saw the teaser trailer, I was a little bit concerned that they weren't going to do him any justice, but having a look at this, he is going to be insane. Not only is his loadout incredible in the fact that he gets the SC3000K assault rifle, which is from the Splinter Cell series, but he also goes and gets the MP7, which as we all know is an absolute beast. Go ahead and pair that up with the likes of the 5.7 USG pistol with an integral suppressor, along with both Claymore and frags at the time of this video being recorded on the test server. Now, I say that because it is liable to change. We've seen it in the past where Malusi was released with a shield on the test server, and then unfortunately, by the time she came to release, they realized that that was a bit too strong, so instead she got impacts and nitro. It could very well happen that he loses either the grenades or something along those lines, depending on the win rate that they see from this test server, so just bear that in mind. Now, the gadget itself is this thing right here. This is the Argus launcher. This is very similar to the sort of sticky cameras that you get in the Splinter Cell universe, with a few minor tweaks to let it fit in with the Rainbow Six Siege universe. There were a couple of points that I just wanted to sort of like showcase. So when I'm looking at this wall, you notice that there is an arrow above and below the aiming reticle, whereas if I go over and aim at this, the top one disappears. Now, that pretty much showcases that when I go and shoot this wall, it's going to be able to look through both sides of it. It's going to be able to look forwards and backwards. So when I go ahead and jump on it, I can look through into the bar itself, or if I press the space bar, I'm going to turn around and look at myself, and it's looking both ways. However, if you go ahead and shoot at something like this surface, or if I'm going to put up in a corner, because there's a hard surface, it's not actually going to penetrate through that. So instead, I'm only going to get a view of one side, much more akin to something like a Valkyrie camera. As you can see from here, I don't get the option to press the spacebar to turn around and look at the other side. So you kind of need to pay attention to the aiming reticle when you are moving around. Conveniently, you'll notice that the actual weapon itself also has this, and depending on what you're looking at, it makes it pretty clear, or alternatively you can ADS and you get exactly the same thing again. So it does make it clear as to what you can shoot through. You do, however, have to be a little bit careful. There were a couple of incidents yesterday where someone had shot it at a section of the wall and it had hit a beam or the floor. And it seems to have hit a beam like there. Right there. That's only going to hit one way and it's going to be looking up towards me. It's not going to penetrate all the way through, so you're not going to be able to see straight down. Move it very fractionally over. And as you can see, so that is something you need to pay attention to. It's clear that there's a wooden beam that's moving all the way across there, something that you can't actually shoot through. And if we go downstairs and have a very quick look, we'll probably actually be able to find that. So I would have thought it's going to be one of these things here. So it's worth paying attention to that and just making sure that when you are aiming and you are going to deploy this thing, make sure that it's going to go and do exactly what you want it to do. So the Argus projectile can hit walls, hatches, ceilings, reinforced walls, and it can burrow through them to provide a two-way camera. Yes, you did hear me right there. It can go through reinforced walls. Now, this is deployed by shooting it from the Argus launcher, and it does travel a pretty good distance. But a couple of things to bear in mind would be things like the fact that it can be shot by a single bullet. If a defender sees it, one single round and this thing is out of commission. Couple that with the likes of mute jammers will actually interfere with it. Electricity from Kaid and Bandit will totally destroy it. And if you try and fire this thing into a room where a Wamai or a Jaeger ADS has been set up, that's going to go ahead and take it out as well. So you're going to have to be careful when you do decide to actually utilize these. Now, one of the most interesting things about the entire Argus projectile is not only the fact that it's going to be able to provide you a shed load of intel, but it also comes equipped with a Twitch-style tase. Now, what I mean by that is it can shoot a single taser, very much similar to the shock drone, but you will only get one of them. It can be used for things like taking out cameras in sight. It can be used for taking out a battery to enable your hard breacher to get through that wall. There are going to be several uses for this, and I think it really could be an effective tool in the arsenal of the attackers. We all know that intel is king in this game. That's why Valkyrie is so strong. That's why droning is so effective. So to be able to do this across multiple floors or through different walls to cover two separate rooms, the options are going to be pretty varied, but you're going to have to use your brain. If you go ahead and chuck this onto a wall that Bandit is trying to actively trick, you're going to struggle to actually utilize it in any way, shape, or form. Whereas if you go above and you place it on the ceiling just above him to destroy that battery as it goes down, that could be incredible. Next up today, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Hard Breach Secondary Gadget. This thing is really cool. My only concern, if I'm brutally honest with you, is it's going to really change the meta. For solo queue players, this is going to be amazing. You don't need to rely on that thermite. You can pretty much just, sort this out yourself. But at the same time, I kind of just think that we're moving away from a team-based game to more of a lone wolf style game. As far as the pro scene goes, though, this is definitely going to mix things up a little bit, because instead of being forced to take, two hard breaches, you can take some of those fringe operators that are just outside of the meta, those kind of ops that are flex ops. People like Amaru and Nock that aren't really taken every single round, but you can just sort of throw in there. You also see this on Monty, you see this on Lion. There is a whole host of operators that, as I say, are the flex ops that you can just sort of swap in and out. They are all the ones that have this gadget. So to be able to send them to the opposite side of a site and to open up an area of that, or if Fuse is going above and he's going to put some cluster charges down through the roof to try and remove any electric claws, he can then open the hatch himself. So the way in which the gadget works is the operator goes through an animation of placing it onto the wall. This at the moment seems a little bit too quiet. I don't know if it's bugged or if it's intentional, but you're going to really struggle to trick against this. Once the animation has gone through, it will automatically start setting itself off by firing off 6 different charges all the way around in a circle, and then when it blows up, it creates a nice square, similar to 2 rows of Hibana pellets. If placed at standing height, it allows you a vaultable hole so you can get in, or alternatively you can place it crouch height and you can pretty much just walk through it crouched. When placed on a hatch, if you place it square on the hatch, it's the equivalent of 4 Hibana pellets, so it's enough to actually open that hatch up. Although some interesting points to note are the fact that it can be jammed by mute, similar to the way Ace's Selma gadget is jammed. It will just sit on the wall. You can pick it back up again should you want to, or alternatively, if you manage to take out or disable the mute jammer, it will instantly start going off. Once the charges start blowing up, you cannot pick it up again, but it can be both Bandit tricked or Kaid tricked. We tested the timing on the Kaid tricking, and I've got to be honest, it's very, very tight. So if you don't throw that electric claw out the second this thing starts going off, you're not going to be able to get it. I definitely think with operators like Capital having this, I think we could see a resurgence for those kind of operators, and we may end up seeing more and more of them, rather than just the staple sort of 5 or 6 ops that we normally see. Honestly though, I don't think this is going to outright replace any of the hard breachers. I think they're all still going to have their roles. I would much rather take a Hibana that can open 3 hatches than just having one of these. And if I'm trying to open the main wall of a site, let's be real, Ace or Thermite are going to do a much better job, or even the Maverick with some soft breach is going to be able to do this better. Having one of these in your back pocket, though, is going to be pretty handy for sure. Now, the very final thing I wanted to talk about in today's video is the fact that Thatcher has seen some pretty big changes. As we all know, Thatcher gets banned in a lot of ranked games, certainly in higher elo. It just seems to be a comfort ban where people say, well, ban Thatcher, you know, problem solved. Now, however, there are a few minor changes that have gone on to him, and instead of him taking out gadgets and destroying them, he can only disable them. Now, this is currently the case for things like cameras, but it's going to extend across every single gadget, things like Legion goo mines, Ella mines, it's going to work on batteries, mute jammers, ADSs. It's going to pretty much disable all of them for a limited period of time. And because of this, I kind of think both Jaeger and Wamai could be in a pretty strong place this season. Not that they weren't already, but I kind of think now that this is the case, you can just slap these down and they're not going to get taken out by a Thatcher EMP in the roof. It does mean that attackers are going to have to coordinate a lot better if they're going to try and get past someone that's bandit tricking. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this pans out and how it's going to affect the operator. The other changes that are coming, as I said, I'm going to be covering many of these in other videos, so keep an eye out for those. But we're going to be getting things like the map ban this season. We're getting the match replay. It's going to record 12 files locally on your PC. And we're also getting things like the chalet rework, different colored sights, and ping 2.0. Honestly, the new pinging system is going to change the entirety of the game. I'm afraid that is going to be it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully it gives you some information if you didn't already know all of this. If you're one of the awesome ones that stayed to the end of the video, don't forget to head down to the comment section and put a hashtag GriefNation down there. And I'd love to hear what your favorite part of this entire season is. Which of the changes are you most excited for? If you did enjoy the video, please consider hitting that thumbs up. If you don't already, make sure to subscribe. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, stay reckless and relentless.